Hi, Forrest here, and welcome to the short tutorial video for Vessel. Vessel is an idea I've had for many years, and it's something that I released, I don't know how many years ago. It's got to be at least 10 years ago, and then I called it the Tech Deck. And this will be a short tutorial video, basically instructions to go with the deck, and the reason for that is because the prop itself is something that you'll probably already know how to use. In other words, if you have an interest in purchasing it, you'll probably already know exactly how to handle it and what exactly you want to do with it, because essentially what it is an ending to any sort of card routine. Now more commonly this is done with what's called an Omni Deck, where a clear block of plastic appears in place of the deck, and the Vessel deck basically replaces that. The difference being, of course, that it looks like a normal deck, but that's not the only difference. The Tech Deck was a sort of funny idea that I had, and it was an outgrowth of a thing from that Paul Harris had in one of the Art of Astonishment books, where he talked about gunge or slime or something appearing inside the deck. If you look it up, it's in there somewhere. It's more of a footnote than it is an actual effect. And with that in mind, I started to think about different things that could go inside the deck for a finale. And one of the things that I came up with that I thought was certainly novel and certainly stunning is that if it was full of computer chips or some sort of circuitry. So the idea would be that when they're wondering how this trick is being achieved, you let them in at the end by showing them that the deck's actually solid, right? That's effect number one. But that actually it's all this technology that's going on inside there. And we'll get a closer look at this in a moment. Basically there's a battery and little components and flashing lights. And so it is a astonishing end to any routine. With two beats, you get the solid deck ending where it's completely solid, and then you reveal all this stuff inside, which is mystifying to say the least. And that's only one thing you can do with it, because what I quickly realised that if you put circuitry or whatever you want in there, you could actually put anything in there. So there are two different internal. One of them is just blank that you can put in there, so you can actually load things in here, like a borrowed ring or a folded playing card or anything that will fit, basically, because the compartment is easily accessible in your pocket. The lid is magnetically, comes on and off and sits perfectly. And now it's made from plastic, which it wasn't previously. So this video will talk through what you receive in the package, and how to sort of operate it. It's very, very straightforward, and I'll show you sort of some handling tips, I suppose, how to appear to shuffle the deck, and so on. But basically, I'm guessing that if you have any interest in this, you'll already sort of be familiar with switching it in your pocket and stuff like that. So we're going to have a closer look at what you've received, and then we'll go on and talk about some handling nuances and a few details along those lines. We'll also talk about swapping out the compartment and loading other things in there. So let's go and have a look at that now. Okay, so let's take a look at what you receive and how to set it up. When you open the box, you'll find it inside is your Vessel deck, and there'll be a little bag of various bits and pieces. We'll come to this in a moment. Meantime, let's talk about the deck first. It comes in a bicycle card case, but you can change it to suit any deck you like. So if you like using specific cards, and there are so many these days, that won't be a problem, because it comes with, you get one additional card there. When you get it, it'll have this generic sort of back design thing. It's made from plastic cards, and this body part is plastic. The bottom card is also plastic, and there are two strips here, and that's double-sided tape, which can be peeled off, and then you stick any any card of any brand you like. So you can make it any deck you like. So when that's on there like that, and we'll also just take a look at what's, and of course, because this card is also plastic, if for any reason, some routine or whatever you do, you want a face card to match, you can also stick a card to the face, because the thickness of one card is not going to affect things. And of course, this being plastic and it being double-sided tape, you can take it off and remove it when the cards start to get tatty. So what you'll find is that the top of it, the lid just slides off. It's magnetic, like so. So you can either choose to take the whole thing off like so, or you can pivot it on one corner for your reveal at the end. But basically, they're perfectly aligned magnets so that when it goes on properly. And then it just looks like a regular deck. Inside is nothing, just this cavity here. And it's up to you what you want to put in there. So that is how you customize the deck, whichever way you want. And now we'll take a look at the various bits and pieces that go inside. So here's your little bag, and we'll talk about the sort of main one first. It's this, which is the circuit board sort of component, where it has a flashing light thing here, which turns on with vibration, right? So I'll need to hit it somewhat hard here to give you the idea, but vibration actually is what sets the lights off. And you'll see here there's a battery casing with a battery inside, a really well-known brand, so it's instantly recognizable. That is not what's powering these lights, though. That is purely for decoration. It's to give it the appearance that it needs that battery. And these little components likewise do nothing, and it's just the design of a circuit board. Really, what it is it's dressed up to look like a circuit board, and only this little bit here is the only thing that's of any concern to you. And you'll notice there are 3 little batteries in there, and they can just be popped out. You poke them through this side, they'll come out there. You can feed new batteries in when the batteries run out, but they do last a long time, these little sort of watch batteries. However, you are supplied with 3 spares, and these batteries are really cheap. I mean, I wouldn't even like to sort of hazard a guess at what they cost each. They're basically pennies, but you do get a set of 3 provided for when you want to change the battery. Now, obviously, if you choose to go this way with the light emitting thing, that's going to drop in there, right? And it's marginally smaller, so it fits quite nicely. Now, to stick it in there, you are also supplied with these little glue dots, right? Now, what I would suggest you do, it's difficult to see on camera, but you'll see up close, it's just like a little blob of sort of rubber stuff, but it's really quite strong. You stick one of these to the center here and drop it in there, and it'll stay in there. I mean, it will really stick. So with that in mind, what you might consider is first using a little loop of tape or double stick tape, right, till you decide whether you want to go with a circuit board, or you also get this blank, right? It's got a little bit of felt on it, and that would sit in there like that. And the purpose of this, of course, is for it to be a load chamber, so you can load things in there, a folded card, or a ring, a signed coin, whatever, in your pocket, and that will just attach on there. Then you get the solid ending, and at the end you reveal that the signed card or ring or whatever is actually inside there. So while you play with it, you might want to only use pardon me, you might want to only use double-sided tape until you decide for sure. It's not that the glue dots are going to permanently stick it in there. It can be unstuck, but it's more difficult to unstick the glue dots. It's a more permanent solution. So if you decide you want to use this one, you're going to use the glue dot. You can pull it out, but what I'm saying is if you want to mess about with routines where you're loading stuff, and then maybe play around with routines where it's the light ending, you may want to use double stick tape while you do that. So that's what that is. And that is basically everything that you receive. So you can play around, decide what's going to work best for you, and then when you're ready, use the glue dot to fix whichever one you want in there. When it comes to removing them again, you need to get a dinner knife or something, basically. Go in there, there's enough space to get in the edge of it, pry it out, peel the glue dot off and put another one on. It's really fairly straightforward stuff. So that is what you receive and how you set up the deck. Okay, so let's look now at handling, how you might handle this. What I'm going to sort of show you here is a solid deception type routine by Paul Harris. And you can see here what I've done is I've attached a bicycle card to the lid. Okay, so this is more like what it'll look like for you. This one's mine, it's been used a fair bit. And I've just chosen to keep the plastic card on the bottom. I don't really need that to be anything other than what it is. So that is what I've got, and I've of course got the light thing going in there at the moment. And then I have 2 additional cards. And for the solid deception type ending, again, it's in the Paul Harris books, there are a few things that you can do. Because the solid deception effect is you essentially do the whole trick with this solid deck in play. Now, that might not be for you. I'm going to show you it anyway, because you can, of course, ring it in, switch it in your pocket or whatever. So we've got 2 additional cards as well as the deck. And what you would do is you would hand one of these cards out to be signed. So I'm using a court card here for contrast, and this is the one I would hand out for signing. Now, you can shuffle this deck. Now, this is not the type of false shuffle that can be burned. You know, it's not supposed to look like sleight of hand and that the deck's been shuffled. It is a peripheral vision type thing where you can casually appear to very, very casually shuffle the deck. You're not drawing attention to this, you're just giving a brief shuffle. All I'm doing there is I'm peeling the 2 single cards and throwing the block, and then I'm taking the block and throwing the 2 single cards. 2 singles, block, block, 2 singles, and it's really as simple as that. Now, as far as having a card chosen to be signed, you don't need to. You just do this little shuffle and then say, here, sign this card for me. So they do. And now what I'm going to do is tilt. And a tilt will look like this. I'm going to take your signed card and I'm going to place it in the middle of the pack. And from your perspective there, you can see it looks like I'm burying that card inside the centre of the pack. It's actually going second from top, because all I'm doing is taking this tilt break here and I'm pushing that card in like so. But from here, it looks like I'm taking their signed card and shoving it somewhere in the centre. You let that top card fall. And now, of course, it's set for any type of ambitious sequence. And because this is a solid block, you just pick the double off the top and say, look, it jumps back to the top. I'll do it again. You put that down, keep the tilt break there, take off the top card, which is indifferent, and again, shove it in the middle, give a little snap. Amazing, it jumps back to the top. Sorry. Of course, the indifferent card went second from top, so no double this time. You turn the top card, it jumps back to the top. Now, what I like to do, you can do this again, of course. I wouldn't really recommend it. But how I like to deal with the ending is that I would say, look, I'll do it again. I'm going to put the card back in the middle. I'm going to do this, and it's going to jump back to the top. Okay, that's the 3rd time. Remember, this is a signed card. Then I'm going to put the double back and say, look, even if I place the card in my pocket and I put the indifferent card away in my pocket, say, look, it still jumps back to the top. So they've seen it come to the top, go in the middle, come to the top three times, then it's went in your pocket, it's come back to the top for a 4th time. And this is where it starts to get odd, because what I'm going to do now is I'm going to say, here, I tell you what, you push it in the middle and act as though I'm squaring up the pack. They're going to take that card and try and shove it in, at which point they realise it's actually a solid deck. And you're saying, well, you've probably seen it go to the bottom, come at the go in the middle, come to the top, etc. And you're probably wondering how I did that with a solid pack of cards. And actually, I'll let you in on a secret. It was actually, of course, what you want to do is when you're proving how solid it is when you're activating the light. What it actually was all this technology and computer chips and stuff in here. I think I might need to change the battery soon, or something along those lines. So that is essentially a very brief overview of the solid deception type routine, which is what I originally intended for this deck. However, we can do other things with it, and we'll talk about those right now. Okay, so another idea is to simply use it as a solid deck ending in place of Omni Deck. So you have this deck in your pocket, you're using a normal deck, you're doing all your stuff, and at some point when they're examining something, maybe they're signing a card or something, this goes in your pocket, okay? Maybe you put the marker away, and both hands go in, you leave the regular deck and you come out with this one, there's a signed card in play, all right? And you say, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hold, you get them to hold the deck in between their hands, lift up, you're going to take this one away. Now they're holding this. And the good thing here is even if they look, it's roughly the weight of a deck of cards, it looks exactly like a deck of cards. So, you've got less to hide than you would with an Omni Deck. You're going to distract their attention with this. Oh, watch, I'll make it vanish and then I'll make it come back, or whatever it is you do. And then you're going to draw attention to the deck. Let me push it back in the middle, and they're going to discover that the deck has gone solid in their hands. And then you can reach over, slide the top off, and show them that inside is all the the circuit board and so on. That would be in place of an Omni Deck. You're basically ringing it in, bringing it into play, and then revealing it. So you're not actually using it in any solid deception sense where you're using the tilt and stuff. You're simply ringing it in for that type of ending. Okay, so let's now talk about loading the deck with other items. So if you want to load items in here, now this one still has the circuit board in because that's what I use all the time. Imagine that in there is the blank that you have been supplied with instead. Here's what you do. The deck would sit like this, and inside your pocket you're going to take the top off and put it behind, and it's going to sit in your pocket like this. Now at any time you can push in there a Mercury folded card, or a borrowed ring, or a signed coin, or basically anything that will fit, a little billet or whatever in your pocket. You're going to place it in there, take this off the top and simply drop it on top, and the magnets there, so it's in my pocket, I go in, I place something in, my thumb takes this and moves it to the front, sealing whatever you like inside the deck. And from there, you're going to ring it in at some point, exactly as you would with an Omni Deck, and like we briefly talked about before. So rings would be good. Like I say, borrowed coins, folded card, Mercury folded card can go in, no problem. And in actual fact, you need to it won't be exact, but you can push it in, and the fact that it has to fight against the sides will hold it in there, so it's quite nice in that regard. So again, it sits in your pocket just like so. You load what you want in there, and when you like, this gets moved to the front, and now you're ready to ring in the solid deck and have them first of all discover that it's solid, and then secondly recognize that there's actually a folded card or whatever is actually inside the deck that's been in play, which I can assure you is an amazing end to any routine where you've borrowed something, or if it's a signed card. It really, the double kicker of the solid deck followed by the item inside is a real kicker. And of course, you'll be able to hear, oh, hang on, there's something inside, What do you mean inside? Well, this is a solid, and it really is, it's one of these strange effects where they just don't know what's happening, and when you reveal, and you got to remember that they think this deck's been in play the whole time, and it's just hard to fathom. It's extremely unusual, and that is basically how you handle loading it with items during certain routines. So that is Vessel, a brief overview of what you receive. And I did say it would be a short sort of video, but as I explained earlier, it's more of a utility prop and not something that requires instructions per se. It's the type of thing that if you're interested in purchasing it, you probably already know what you're going to do with it, or you're going to replace it with something similar that you already use. It's not the type of thing that I make a lot of. I make them by hand, and they're very limited in very limited numbers, so it's not the type of thing I wouldn't expect it to always be in stock. I think that these ones I have will go pretty quickly, so if you do want one, you should get it now, because I don't know when it'll be available again. I think that's about it. Yes, if you haven't ever stopped by my website, please do. www.full52.com. That's all from me for now. I'm Dave Forrest. I'll see you next time.